Did you know that the world's first residential university was in India? It had 10,000 students, a massive library and a world-famous teachers. But one night, everything vanished in flames. What really happened to Nalanda University? Why was it destroyed? What is the story behind its rise and fall? Let's uncover this lost legacy. Nalanda was no ordinary university. It was the pride of ancient India, a place where some of the greatest minds of the world gathered to learn, debate and discover. Built over 1,500 years ago, this legendary institution stood as a beacon of knowledge, attracting students from China, Korea, Tibet and Persia. But how did such a magnificent center of learning disappear? To understand its tragic fall, we must first explore its glorious rise. Our journey begins in the 5th century CE, during the golden age of the Gupta Empire. Under the rule of Emperor Kumaragupta I, Nalanda was born. Kumaragupta was not just a warrior, he was a patron of education and believed that knowledge was the true wealth of a civilization. During his rule, Buddhism was flourishing in India, and he envisioned a center where Buddhist scholars and monks could learn, teach and preserve their teachings for future generations. But Nalanda wasn't just about Buddhism. It became a global university, welcoming students from all religions and cultures, offering knowledge in subjects like logic, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and Sanskrit literature. Unlike other learning centers of that time, Nalanda wasn't just a place to memorize scriptures. It was a thriving hub of research, discussion and innovation. The university housed over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers, making it one of the largest learning institutions of the ancient world. It offered advanced education in subjects like Buddhist philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, logic and literature. Centuries before modern universities even existed. It was a fully residential university with a massive campus spread over 12 hectares, featuring monasteries, temples, classrooms, lakes and gardens. But its true treasure was the great library of Nalanda, the Dharmaganja. This wasn't just a collection of books. It was a storehouse of human wisdom, containing rare manuscripts written on palm leaves and birch bark, many of which are now lost forever. As centuries passed, Nalanda continued to flourish, reaching its peak between the 7th and 9th century CE. During this time, it became the most prestigious learning center in the world. But what made Nalanda truly extraordinary? Renowned scholars and teachers, great minds like Aryabhatta, Dharmakirti, Nagarjuna and Zhongzhang either studied or taught here. The famous Chinese traveler Xunzang spent nearly 15 years at Nalanda, documenting its brilliance. He described an environment where students engaged in intense debates, questioning even their masters to push the boundaries of knowledge. The legendary library, Dharmaganja. This library has 3 massive buildings, Ratnadadi, Ratnaranjaka and Ratnaginja, filled with countless manuscripts on science, medicine, mathematics and Buddhist philosophy. It was said to be so vast that when it was destroyed, it burned for months. a truly global institution. Nalanda welcomed students from China, Korea, Tibet, Mongolia, Sri Lanka, Persia and beyond. No tuition fee was charged and only the most brilliant minds could gain admission after a tough oral examination conducted by senior scholars. Nalanda wasn't just a university. It was a symbol of India's intellectual and cultural dominance. But as history has shown us, even the greatest legacies are not immune to destruction. Nalanda, the world's greatest center of learning, met a tragic fate. Not due to time, not due to nature, but the hands of an invader. It was the year 1193 CE when a Turkish general named Bakhtiyar Khilji marched through the prosperous lands of Bihar, leaving destruction in his wake. His goal? To erase the cultural and intellectual identity of India. Khilji and his forces stormed into the university, slashing their way through its peaceful halls. Thousands of monks were brutally massacred, and the magnificent library Dharmaganja, which held centuries of wisdom, was set on fire. Legends say that the flames burned for months. Imagine that so many books, so much priceless knowledge, that the fire never stopped raging. Manuscripts on medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and Buddhist philosophy, works that could have changed the course of history, were turned to ashes. Persian historian Minhaji-e-Siraj recorded this attack in his book Tabaqui-e-Nasiri, detailing how Buddhist monasteries were destroyed and intellectual hubs were wiped out. Tibetan sources claim that some monks managed to escape, carrying whatever knowledge they could to Tibet, Nepal and beyond. But what was lost at Nalanda was lost forever. This marked the end of an era, not just for India, but for the entire world. A university that once held 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers, that had welcomed scholars from across continents, was now nothing but ruins. But the story doesn't end there, because history has a way of rising from the ashes. Nalanda was gone, but its absence left a void too deep to be ignored. With its destruction, India lost more than just a university. It lost a center of knowledge that had shaped civilizations. Scholars who had once travelled from distant lands to study here now had no place to return to. Buddhist education, which had flourished for centuries, began to decline in India. The surviving monks, determined to preserve what they could, fled to Tibet, Nepal, China and Southeast Asia. They carried fragments of knowledge, sacred texts and teachings, ensuring that Nalanda's wisdom would live on beyond India's borders. But back home, Nalanda's ruins lay abandoned, forgotten by time, buried under the dust of history. For centuries, no one knew the true extent of what had been lost. Centuries passed until curiosity and history led explorers back to Nalanda's ruins. In the 19th century, British archaeologist Alexander Cunningham came across the ancient ruins in Bihar. But it wasn't until the early 1900s, Sir John Marshall, that the truth was uncovered. This was the lost Nalanda University. As archaeologists dug deeper, they found monasteries, temples, lecture halls and thousands of inscriptions confirming its glory glorious past. The remains of student quarters, meditation halls and grand stupas painted a picture of a lost world, one where knowledge thrived. Most astonishingly, ancient Buddhist texts recovered from Tibet describe Nalanda in vivid detail. It was as if history itself had been waiting to be told again. But this story doesn't end in ruins, because knowledge, once ignited, can never truly be extinguished. In 2010, Nalanda's revival began. With the support of the Indian government and international scholars, a new Nalanda University was founded. Not just a university, but as a symbol of India's intellectual heritage. Located near the original ruin in Bihar, the new Nalanda University stands as a global institution, welcoming students from across the world, just like it did centuries ago. It now offers courses like history, philosophy, ecology, and Buddhist studies, reviving its ancient spirit of learning. Countries like China, Japan, and Singapore have supported this initiative, proving that Nalanda's legacy is not just India's, it belongs to the world. From ruins to revival, Nalanda's story reminds us that knowledge is eternal, and no matter how many centuries pass, its flame will continue to burn in the minds of those who seek wisdom. Nalanda wasn't just a university. It was an idea, a movement, a symbol of human curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge. It stood tall for centuries, fell in the flames of destruction, but rose again, proving that wisdom can never be erased. Even today, the new Nalanda University carries forward its legacy, welcoming students from around the world, just like it did 1,000 years ago. So what do you think? Does history truly repeat itself? Or does it give us a chance to rebuild what was lost? Let's keep this conversation alive. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love this journey through time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Page Pulse Bailey for more amazing history stories. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Signing off, Page Pulse Bailey. See you next time.